Do you have a brilliant startup idea? Visit our website at eapla.com to schedule a Blue Couch meeting and launch your startup journey today.
Welcome back to On The Cusp. We're doing our 4th live recording here at the airport, and it's been a lot of fun. Been some challenges. I got Matt Snyder back with me on this one. And today, close family friend, Lisa Haynie with Lisa's Flowers. Okay,
Lisa's
on
Flowers
Benton
and
Road.
Gifts.
At Lisa's Flower and Gifts on Benton Road.
1700 Benton Road.
Okay.
Phone number's 318-746-8601.
Oh, she's a hardcore businesswoman. Okay, I hear a lot about her. So, Lisa, what got you started in the flower business?
I was living in New Orleans, and my father's health was not good. He retired from the Air Force, and he also retired from the Sheriff's Department. He was exposed to Agent Orange in Vietnam, and as he got older, he developed heart problems. He went legally blind. He couldn't hear. He'd always been an avid reader, and it was just the saddest thing. And my mother, the first time she saw my father, he was in the 8th grade and she was in the 5th grade, and she thought he was the cutest little boy and she was going to marry him.
Oh, wow.
And she did. And he was in the Air Force, and they traveled all over the place. And I always, as I got older, I admired her so much for, she was in Japan with a 6-month-old and a 4-year-old. And I always said if I was ever stuck on a desert island, I want to be stuck with my mama, because she was going to make it. Anyway, after Katrina, the law firm that I was with moved to Baton Rouge. They ultimately moved back to New Orleans, but they were in Baton Rouge for a long time. I didn't lose my house. Everyone that I worked with lost their house. So their insurance paid for them to go to Baton Rouge. Well, I was stuck in New Orleans. But it gave me more freedom, and I was able to come up here and help Mama, who had basically she was Daddy's only caretaker,
right.
And she was stuck at the house with him. So I started coming up here. And I ran into my high school boyfriend, Howard, who I'm now married to.
And we got to give a big shout out to Howard while you're there, because Howard's one of our biggest watchers.
Oh, yeah.
And I get a lot of feedback from Howard. So, okay.
We need you.
Yes. Howard worked for Toshiba. His office was in California, and he could live anywhere. And we had decided, before Daddy died, we moved back to Plain Dealing. And when he died, I was disappointed in the flowers. And I wasn't doing anything else anyway.
Oh, I love that.
So I went and got my florist license and opened a shop in Plain Dealing.
Isn't that the best entrepreneurial way?
Yeah.
You see something, you're like, that was not was not acceptable.
No.
I'm gonna fix it.
I'm gonna do something different.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
If everybody, when they're ask why should I go into business, that's it.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a shop on Benton Road named Lisa's Flowers, and every time we would drive past it, Howard would say, "We need to buy that shop." And I wasn't all in with that, because when he went someplace fun, he was a field engineer for Toshiba, and when he went someplace fun, I went with him.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be stuck in a shop actually making money.
Man, you're sounding like my wife.
Anyway, the Lisa that owned the shop, one of our wholesalers said, "You should buy Lisa's Flowers. She really needs to sell the shop." Her husband had passed away, and she had gotten a nursing degree and was working for Willis Knighton. And he kept saying it, and finally I said, "Well, tell her to call me." And it was just an aggravation thing.
Yeah.
One day the phone rang, and she said, "This is Lisa, will you buy my shop?" And I said, "I just don't know." So while all this was going on, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Fukushima nuclear reactor incident. Toshiba owned Westinghouse, who built the Fukushima nuclear facility in Japan. They had an earthquake and a tsunami that resulted in the worst nuclear
disaster
disaster
hit
since Chernobyl.
Chernobyl.
And they kept telling these guys that work for Toshiba America they were okay, not to worry about it, even though the Japanese government fined Toshiba $7 billion.
Wow.
So meanwhile, I'm talking to this other Lisa, and finally we made a deal, and we closed on Friday. And on Tuesday, Howard didn't have a job anymore. Toshiba America closed their doors.
Wow.
So I went from this vision of I'll work in this shop and supplement our income, and when he retires, we'll just both play here, to I got to make a living.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. You were highly motivated.
Yeah, now it's on.
Now it's on.
Yeah.
And the first year, and the shop had been neglected when the former owner went to work for Willis Knighton. She was tired of it. She had a special needs child who lived with her for the rest of her life. It was neglected. And all I knew was we had to do something. The first year that we owned it, SB Magazine named us Shop of the Year. And every year since then, we won Locals Love Us,
Right.
All that kind of stuff. And I attribute a large part of that to Howard and I being there. We're very hands-on. We're always there. We're always involved. It drives me crazy when, like, you go into a restaurant or something and people don't speak to you. They just kind of do.
Yep.
They stand around and they talk to each other and wait for you to come up to them. We don't do that. We, you're greeted when you come in the door. Somebody's going to talk to you. Can I help you?
A lot of people don't realize, but you do more than just, flower arrangements for, events and things like. You're doing some major events here in Shreveport Bossier.
Yeah.
I think Jamie told me the other day you were doing live casino.
We do the live casino hotel, and we do some of their events. We do all of Willis Knighton's events. We do all the Bossier Sheriff's Department's flowers. We do a lot of big stuff, and that's the stuff that you rely on.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think about, okay, if you have a sound company, you have your same equipment you use all the time. In a flower shop, our vases go out the door, our flowers go out the door, all our stuff goes out the door, and you have to replenish that. It's a big outgo.
You got a supply chain concern all the time.
The two things that I've learned is always return your phone calls, because you don't know if, number one, we get very few complaints, but call them, because you may head off, somebody bashing you on social media.
Right.
But it could be a good thing. It could be Willis Knighton calling and saying, "Oh, we're doing the barbecue again."
Yeah.
I want to ask you about just getting flowers in our region. I travel a lot and I see you go places where flowers seem so abundant.
Yeah.
I think of Seattle in my head. There's just flowers everywhere for sale. Is it tough getting flowers here? Just as a business owner, what does that look like?
I deal with local vendors, and they bring flowers in from Florida, pretty much.
Is that where most of the flowers come from, is Florida?
But they come from South America into Florida, and then they're trucked from Florida here.
Really? Mm-hmm. So how old is a flower that reaches your shop, you think?
We don't like to think about it.
Because, when you put it in an arrangement and you deliver it someplace, if it's an old flower, it's got a day, maybe two,
Right.
and somebody's calling you.
We're very fortunate. I have very few complaints about the longevity of our flowers. As a matter of fact, it's more often people call me and say, "I've had these flowers for 2 weeks. They're great."
Yeah.
But we take good care of our flowers. And we're also blessed that we have such a high turnover that when we get them, they go out. I get new flowers on Monday and on Wednesday. And I deal with people here locally. A lot of the flower shops here have their flowers flown in from out of town. Well, if you've got a big event and you have to make 45 centerpieces and all these big things, and your flowers come in from out of town bad, and you call those people, they don't
You're
care.
not getting any.
They give you a credit. They don't care. When I call these local guys around here and tell them I have a problem, they take care of it.
That's key.
Yeah. It is.
It is.
I have 2 vendors here, one in Texarkana, one in Minden, and one in Monroe.
And that's where your flowers come from every week. And that. I've heard you're delivering flowers pretty much
Everywhere.
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 So what's the funniest flower thing you ever had in all the years you've been delivering flowers?
The dumbest thing I ever did was tell Willis Knighton I could build life-size gnomes. Have you heard that story?
I haven't heard that story.
They have a gentleman who works for them. He's over their dietary department. He and I work together a whole lot. He puts together a lot of these events. And so every year they have this thing called the Founders Barbecue. And they have a lot of contributors. It's a big thing. They have it out at the Oaks, and it's huge. And every year we do it. So year before last, the gentleman that I work with there called me and said, "Can you build 100?" And I said, 100 what? He said, the number 100 out of flowers. I said, yeah, I can do that. He called me a couple of days later and he said, how big is the 100? I said, well, I thought it'd be 3 feet tall. He said, can you make it 4 feet tall? I said, yeah, if I was gonna make it 3, I can make it 4. He said, can you put lights on it? Yeah, I can put lights on it. So we ended up with a 4 foot tall 100 with 100 lights on each side of it. And that was the centerpiece, the focal, photography thing at because it was the 100th anniversary, 100th birthday, 100th something of Willis Knighton. So the next year, the same guy called. We're talking about what we're gonna do. And he said, I wish I could find some life-size gnomes. And I said, well, you ought to be able to buy them. And I started looking. You cannot buy life-size gnomes.
Really?
No. But I said, I think I can build a gnome. I'm pretty sure I can build a gnome. So in about a week, this gentleman called me and he goes, how are the gnomes coming? I said, rocking right along. Well, I had 3 heads sitting. That's all I had was heads. They had hair, they had beards, but they were just heads. And he said, how big are they? And I said, well, the lady gnome is gonna wear my clothes. That's how big she is. Remember, I still just had heads.
Oh my gosh.
When we were done, we had a gnome driving a pickup truck, an antique pickup truck, and the 2 other gnomes in the back of the truck, and they were life size. And just so y'all know, next year the gnomes are going on a hayride.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my gosh. And you're decorating these with all flowers?
No, these were not all flowers, but they were sitting in flowers.
Oh, they were sitting in flowers?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
The truck was full of flowers, and the gnomes were in the truck.
Oh wow, that is huge. I can't imagine. Don't invite me to to that one. So Lisa, a question we always ask a lot of our guests that are on here: how is it doing business in Shreveport-Bossier? Is it easy? Do you find it easy to do business? You don't. What makes it hard?
People say they want to work, but they don't.
Labor.
Yeah.
Do you think that's our region problem, or do you think that's anywhere?
I have noticed it more since COVID.
Yeah, I think it's an everywhere problem. I really do. I don't think that's I agree with you that like lower end labor is very hard to come by, but my gut feeling is that that's a national issue.
I came from a legal background, and I don't necessarily do business the way other people that own shops do business, because if they don't have any work going on, they send their people home. I don't think that's fair. If you set aside your day for me I'm going to keep you and I'm going to pay you. And I've always done that.
I believe it.
My driver is, I'm 69, he's a few years younger than me. He's been delivering flowers since he was 16. So he's been with me for a long time. My lead designer, who's well known in the floral industry here locally, has been with me for 6 years now. He came to me after COVID. He actually retired in November, and the last thing he told me when he walked out the door was, I'll see you when I get broke, and he was back before Christmas, so.
It worked out well for you.
And in a very good position now because I have 2 ladies that both want to work part-time. So I'm not having, I give my full-time employees, they get paid time off, they get vacation, they get all that kind of stuff. A lot of small businesses in this area don't do that. But I have 2 ladies who want to work part-time, and they just kind of trade off. And, like summers are slow for us because there's no proms, there's no homecomings.
Right, you're past the mad rat rush.
And they just kind of work it out between the 2 of them. What they're going to do. Yeah, and I'm not having to give them paid vacations and all that kind of stuff. So there were years when I had 2 full-time designers sitting there that I paid during the summer that didn't have enough to do to justify them being there. And
But you stuck with it.
I did, and I have never...
But that's, credit to you, and that's why now, you're so successful in this business, because you did that.
Well, we're...
Plus you got Howard.
I had a lady come in and interview not long ago, and I told her when I need people, all I have to do is call. Anybody will come and work. I feed them lunch.
I know.
That's a good point too about like keeping your people.
Mm-hmm.
I represent 25 different clients in their marketing needs, and I meet with them each. And the ones that are always looking for people are the ones that really don't treat their people very well.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Absolutely.
and I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, we could try this. We could try that.
But
it's not a lack of people in the workforce problem. Usually, it's usually a person is going to go find something better if you're not working for somebody like Lisa that's taking good care of you.
Yep, definitely.
And that's what I see in the market for what it's worth.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much. This has been lots of fun. And tell Howard we said thanks.
Thanks, Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
Enjoy the podcast? We would love your feedback about today's show and who you think should be our next guest. Send us an email at info@eapla.com. Also, be sure to share the show and leave a comment on our social media post.